Hello and welcome back to the Stronghold. I'm the Magi, and it's that time again. It's midweek, and I want you to play some Magic because you can win 2 rare or better ICRs in doing so. This week's Midweek Magic is one of the more recent additions to the rotation here, where you are able to present a constructed deck, but only using cards from the most recent set. And of course, right now that would be March of the Machines. This can be a challenging one, particularly for new and budget players that maybe just don't have a lot of cards from the newest set. What are we, 2, perhaps 3 weeks into the set at this point? So we are going to talk today about exactly what to do to take this event on from a budget perspective, and more importantly, what not to do. But before we get into all that, allow me to do the awkward thing and promote the channel. A while back, one of my viewers was kind enough to point out that we are the only channel putting out timely midweek Magic content. So be sure to subscribe right here at the Planeswalker Stronghold for all of your future midweek Magic needs, because we will be bringing you a deck list or strategy every single week. So what do you say we put all this aside and just get to that? All right, so I've talked a couple of times about wanting to be conservative in this set and really only doing enough early jump in and draft events in order to have a playable deck for this midweek Magic event. And if you don't know what I'm talking about or you don't understand why that is the case, I definitely recommend you check out my March of the Machines budget perspective video where I go into a lot more detail. But basically, the new player experience decks are right around the corner, and we want to make sure we maximize the value we get out of those decks. Similarly, you don't want to dump a bunch of wild cards into this event that is at most going to get you 2 rare or better ICRs. That can be a real net loss as far as value for your collection. Those wild cards are much harder to come by than the ICRs that are given as award for a midweek Magic event. And the good news is these decks don't have to be perfect for this event. And really doing just one draft and as little as one jump-in event, as long as they happen to coincide as far as color and or theme, should give you a pretty reasonably playable deck for this event. And again, the good news is if you haven't done this prep up till this point, Midweek Magic, of course, lasts roughly 48 hours. So with the March of the Machines being the quick draft of the moment, there is still plenty of time to get in there and do this. And since you want to make sure you're doing a draft of some sort each calendar month, hopefully you got in your April draft limited event. You could already have done your May or still be able to do May and come out with a reasonably playable deck here without having to do any jump-ins whatsoever. In fact, on 2 of my 3 accounts, after just one draft, if I were to add in the contents of the appropriate jump-in pack, I would have a pretty reasonable budget deck going here. And of course, we want to keep in mind that reprint cards like the Gain Lands are available to you even if you don't have the versions from March of the Machines. The older versions are still 100% playable in this event. When it came to my second draft on my primary account, I was more or less able to stick to the plan here. And although the deck isn't as strong as it could have been with the appropriately matched jump-in pack, like having a second Botanical Brawler would have been really nice. Overall, I think this is a perfectly suitable deck to take into this event. My rares are not necessarily on theme with the +1 counters, but they are both pretty strong rares in their own light. And of course, don't forget in this event things like Skittering Surveyor and the Gain Lands. If you have copies in your collection, and in the case of the Gain Lands, I'm almost certain that you do, you can use those in this event even if they are not from the set March of the Machine. As long as the card is legal, the card is legal regardless of which set it was actually printed in. On my most recent free-to-play account, although I went a very different direction in the draft and ended up drafting a, in hindsight, rather poor black-white deck, I was able to pick up enough white and night themes cards that I feel like I actually have a pretty good blue-white knights deck here with, you count it, 3 Marshals of the Zephyr, plus the appropriate colored invasion and a lot of on-theme cards here. So I feel like without doing any jump-ins and just the 2 drafts that I was going to do anyway, we ended up with a very reasonable deck and a lot of different directions that I could have gone as well. Now, when it came to my third account, my giveaway account, I made the mistake of going off plan, and because some interesting multiverse legends, I went very nearly mono black. I believe I splashed red, if I remember correctly, in the draft. And as you can see, I've got like 15 pretty playable black cards here. But there's not really a whole lot as far as a strong secondary color. I mean, blue, I only have 3 cards. White, I believe 6. In red, we're at 5, plus 2 Stormclaw Ragers, which, you know, is a viable option by any means. But I don't really have a strong secondary color or direction here. And this is the draft that I am most interested in doing on May 1st to see if I can solidify this pathway into a deck in some way. Having done my second draft now on the giveaway account, I was still able to put together a mostly white-green deck built on that +1/+1 counters theme. And because of a shortage of cards and some of the way some of the cards aligned up, I did still go with a slight red splash, mostly because of the Sunblessed Guardians and the +1/+1 counter synergy there. Rampaging Geoderm is a bit of a budgetary concession here just to fill in some of the slots here. And of course, Furnace Host Charger is going to be the last card in there, mostly to help me ensure that I am finding that mountain if and when I need it. All right, so in conclusion, my strategy for this event is simply to play what you have. Don't throw a bunch of wild cards into getting smaller returns than what you invested. That is just a value trap waiting to happen. These events, the more conservative you were in building your deck, the harder this is going to be. This is probably not going to be a 2-0 and done. It may take 5-6 games for you to get those 2 free rare or better ICRs, but as long as you have the time, it is still worth the time. And for those that maybe have an easier time at this, maybe there wasn't as much budget constraint, or you just had a little bit more luck in your deck building capabilities, I definitely ask that the community out there pay it forward. Just jump into an event, play a hand out, or just very quickly concede out to make it easier for those that do not have the capability and the wherewithal to put together the decks this week that they would like to. Remember, even if you aren't facing that sort of opponent, you're not taking anything away, because even if you concede, if they want to keep playing, they can. It's not like someone has to stop once they get 2, 3, whatever number of wins. So don't worry that you might be taking something away from someone else's fun. Pay it forward if you have the opportunity. What's that? You didn't catch all that? Well, Matt would like you to know that any deck list applicable to this video can be found down in the doobly-doo. Hey, let's not forget, the whole reason to participate in these totally free midweek Magic events is the prize support is awesome. And don't forget, if this video gets just 10 likes by 8 p.m. tonight on the day of release, I will be live playing this on my Twitch channel. And with all that having been said, don't forget, smash that like button like Ronnie J would. And until next time, I'll see you in the arena.